Today, Barry O'Farrell quits. The New South Wales Premier on the way out after a significant memory fail.
As someone who believes in accountability, in responsibility, I accept the consequences of my action.
Also coming up, investigations begin as 2 men die in a mine collapse in the Hunter Valley. Kiev launches military action against pro-Russian separatists. And the countdown is on. The royal couple just hours away from Australia. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Nicole Chettle. The New South Wales Premier, Barry O'Farrell, will resign after damning evidence was produced against him at a corruption inquiry. Yesterday, the Premier denied receiving a $3,000 bottle of wine from Australian Water Holdings executive Nick Di Girolamo. Today, a handwritten thank you note was tendered at the ICAC. Mr O'Farrell said he'd had a memory lapse and did not deliberately mislead the Commission. Barry O'Farrell came to power after a landslide election win in 2011 after 16 years of Labor government.
I can't explain whether, I still can't recall the receipt of a gift of a bottle of 1959 Grange. I can't explain what happened to that bottle of wine, but I do accept that there is a thank you note signed by me. And as someone who believes in accountability, in responsibility, I accept the consequences of my action.
New South Wales reporter Lucy Carter joins me now from Sydney. Lucy, the Premier's at the corruption hearings again today. This isn't over, is it?
Certainly not, Nicole, with Barry O'Farrell in front of the ICAC right now answering what are presumably some quite difficult questions. There's really no telling how this story will play out by the end of today. The way this all started was Jeffrey Watson, the senior counsel assisting the ICAC, contacted Mr O'Farrell this morning saying that they were going to be tabling a number of extra pieces of information. Barry O'Farrell then called a bit of a snap press conference at 10 o'clock this morning, and the announcement he made shocked everyone in the room. He said that there, as you said, had been a significant memory fail on his behalf, that he had in fact received that 1959 $3,000 bottle of Penfolds Grange wine from AWH man Nick Di Girolamo. And he said that whilst he can't actually remember receiving the wine, he accepted that there was a note and that he had not deliberately misled the ICAC.
The evidence I gave to the Independent Commission Against Corruption yesterday was evidence to the best of my knowledge. I believed it to be truthful, and as I said yesterday, it's important that citizens deal with police, deal with the courts and deal with watchdogs like ICAC in a truthful fashion. In no way did I seek to mislead, willfully or otherwise, the Independent Commission Against Corruption. That would go against everything that I have.
And the Premier was meant to be at an announcement with the Prime Minister today. What did Tony Abbott have to say?
Well, as I said, this was a snap announcement, and it actually caught quite a lot of political reporters off guard. The Premier, or the former Premier, Barry O'Farrell, was meant to be speaking with Tony Abbott at Liverpool this morning at 10:15, but at 10 o'clock he did call this separate announcement. What Tony Abbott said this morning was that Barry O'Farrell had contacted him beforehand to say that he would be stepping down as Premier, and Tony Abbott has praised his actions.
Barry is a man of honour. He is a man of integrity. He is a very decent man, and I think he's been a very capable Premier over the last 3 years, and I think he will be missed. The important thing today is to show proper appreciation of the integrity which has caused him to act in this way.
So, Lucy, aside from those ICAC hearings, what happens now?
Well, next week, Barry O'Farrell says he will be calling a meeting of the Parliamentary Party to formally resign. That means that there will have to be a new Premier of New South Wales elected. Currently, that looks like it's probably going to be a two-horse race between the current Treasurer, Mike Baird, and the Transport Minister, Gladys Berejiklian. But the ramifications this could have for the Liberal Party more generally are huge. This is a party that hasn't been in power in New South Wales for terribly long, and they also came in on a platform of anti-corruption. So what this potentially could do for its brand remains to be seen.
Lucy Carter at Parliament House in Sydney, thank you. Mining and WorkSafe authorities are investigating what caused an underground wall to collapse at a mine in New South Wales Hunter Valley, killing 2 men. The mine just south of Cessnock is owned by Yancoal. Jackson Vernon is there.
It's a fairly quiet scene at the entrance of the Ozstar coal mine. Mine workers leaving the site this morning didn't speak to the large media contingent waiting outside, but inside they were briefed about the incident. It began unfolding about 9:15 last night when a wall collapsed 100 metres underground. 8 men were working at the time, but 2 became trapped. The 6 remaining men tried to help their colleagues, but couldn't rescue them and had to leave. It then took emergency services more than 3 hours to get underground, but once there, they pronounced the men dead. Police say it could be days for the bodies of the men to be brought to the surface.
There's quite an amount of coal and machinery down there that needs to be removed to be able to get to the men. We've been speaking with the mines managers and informing family.
Several inquiries are underway into the incident. The CFMEU says there was nothing to indicate safety issues at the mine.
There's a number of routine inspections that happen every shift, every day with this operation, so I'm not aware of any details of things that would cause us great concern.
The men were from small communities in the Hunter, so the news of their deaths will hit these areas hard. Some family members are still being informed of the deaths.
The royal couple has left New Zealand and is on the way to Sydney. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were farewelled in wet conditions in Wellington, and they're due to land in Sydney in just a couple of hours before heading straight to the Opera House. Reporter Joanna Hatcher joins me now. Jo, are the crowds building where you are?
They certainly are starting to build here at the Sydney Opera House, Nicole. A lot of people that we've spoken to have been staking out their positions since the early hours of this morning. There is still a lot of room for crowds to come down and fill up before the royal couple arrive in just under 3 hours. The prime positions have been taken right up the spot, right up the front rather, but there's still a bit of room for more people to come down ahead of the arrival of the royal couple.
So what's on the couple's agenda for this afternoon?
Well, Nicole, they'll be arriving here at the western side of the Sydney Opera House. They'll be driving right past some crowds here and they'll be met by the New South Wales Governor, Marie Bashir. They were going to be met by the New South Wales Premier, but I believe that the circumstances have changed around that. They'll then proceed to a reception where about 400 guests will be attending, young leaders who have excelled in areas such as arts and volunteering and sports and the like, around the same age as the royal couple, and the Duke will be giving a short address there. There'll then also be a photo opportunity with the trophy of the 2015 Cricket World Cup, and they'll be meeting with a couple of cricketers as well. They'll then venture over to the eastern side of the Opera House where they'll get on a boat and travel over to Admiralty House, where they'll be staying for at least the first part of their time here in Sydney. They'll be met by the Governor-General Peter Cosgrove there.
Jo Hatcher reporting there from the Opera House.
Still quite a bit of cloud associated with ex-tropical cyclone Ita that's combining with another low in the Tasman and also a high that's coming through from the Bight. Now, with this system, we are expecting heavy rain and also gale force winds over the next couple of days for New Zealand. Still large surf up along the New South Wales coast, but that will ease during the day. And there's a trough over Queensland that's still causing a few showers over the southern and central parts of the state. It will move off the coast later on today, but still affecting the tropical region where we'll see more thunderstorms and showers. There's also west-southwesterlies moving through to the southeast with a front, and this means that we'll start to see an increase in the waves down at Bells Beach for the start of the Easter Classic. Around the nation for today, 26 degrees, partly cloudy in Brisbane, partly cloudy in Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne, 22. Also in Hobart and Canberra, you're expecting 19. For Sydney, it was a very wet night, still expecting a few showers this afternoon, 22 degrees, and an afternoon shower in Darwin, 33. For tomorrow, and we'll still see a southeasterly wind flow up along the coast, however easing conditions along the New South Wales coast. Winds still up over the tropical region, meaning a few showers and storms just over the very tip of Queensland and also the top end coast, and another weak front moving through the Bight, but very little rain. Perth, a top of 26, partly cloudy, 25 in Adelaide and 23 in Melbourne. A sunny day for Hobart, 20 degrees, and 19 partly cloudy in Canberra. Rain's cleared in Sydney, 23, 27 in Brisbane, and perhaps a storm in the afternoon for Darwin, 33.
And that's ABC News for now. I'm Nicole Chettle. Have a good afternoon.